With many COVID-related restrictions lifted and holiday shopping around the corner, AARP conducted a survey on how aware shoppers are of potential fraud, from searching for the perfect gift to sending it to a loved one. They found that only 37% of adults know that using a credit card versus a debit card online offers greater protections, and only 31% know that online retailers will not ask for login credentials to provide customer support.
Good evening. Welcome to this month's edition of Rural America Live with AARP. I'm Christina Loren. We also welcome our listeners joining us tonight on Rural Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 147. Fraudsters are always looking for new ways to engage hardworking people just like you to scam. And with the holidays fast approaching, 'tis the season for cyber crooks looking to invade your wallet. But AARP is here to help, and tonight we're going to discuss useful tips for shopping safely this season. And we want to hear from you. You are a big part of this show. We have 2 questions of the month for you to answer. First up is, have you purchased an item from social media? And second, are you planning to donate to a charity this holiday season? And as always, they brought a great giveaway. Yeti cooler to 5 lucky on-air callers tonight. If you are caller number 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10, you will be a winner. And as a friendly reminder, you don't need to be a member of AARP or over the age of 50 to win, but you can only win one time each calendar year. Join our conversation. Give us a call right now at 877-283-7570. We would love to hear from you. And if you are a winner tonight, AARP will call you back in the next few days to confirm your mailing address. So make sure that you return their call and be patient. You will get your Yeti cooler, but the pandemic has slowed down the shipping of coolers and many other things as well. Joining us tonight from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, is AARP Regional Director Sarah Jennings. And joining us from Denver, Colorado, AARP Director of Fraud Victim Support, Amy Nofziger, is with us. It's so wonderful to have you both back on the show. I do believe that next time when we meet back here in 2022, it will be in person. I so look forward to that. Amy, let's take a deeper dive into the AARP survey that we referenced at the top of the show, titled Holiday Scams, the Gift That Keeps on Taking. We know that scammers do not discriminate. They like to target what they consider to be low-hanging fruit, those who don't take precautions when shopping. Tell us more about what your survey revealed.
So it revealed a lot. And one of the things that AARP really wants to do is hear from the consumers, right? Find out what's happening to them. So a couple of the things that we found out is that, a lot of people who have been victims, they blame themselves. And the thing to keep in mind is it is not your fault, right? Like, you were a victim of a scam. So 75% of the people that we talked to had been targeted or victimized in the past. That's a huge number, and I actually think it's probably higher than that. Then 2/3 of the people that we surveyed said that they are going to use a gift card or purchase a gift card this holiday season for a loved one. And we want you to be safe. When you're buying one of those gift cards, make sure to look at the front and the back of that gift card to make sure it hasn't been tampered with. And then also 2/3 of the people we talked to said that they're planning on using a debit card this holiday season. We know that credit cards have a greater protection than debit cards. So when you're out there shopping, I prefer to use my credit card, not your debit card. And then finally, we found out that almost over half of the people that a little bit closer to half of the people we surveyed are going to use a peer-to-peer app. Those are virtually untraceable. So make sure if you're using one of those peer-to-peer apps, you're only sending it to someone you know and trust, like a friend or a family member.
It just keeps on getting harder every single year. And this is such an important time of year because for the holidays, maybe we haven't been able to see our loved ones because of the pandemic, and sending a gift is a true form of that love. So we want to make sure that they get it. Sarah, AARP's survey also looked at how scammers like to take aim at our nation's veterans. Why is that the case, and what did you learn?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really appalling that veterans are more likely than civilians to be targeted by scammers. And you heard those really large numbers of all of us. And so veterans and active military are more likely to be targeted even than all the rest of us that may not have had that in our background. And that's often because fraudsters will pose as either active military members or as someone who can get you a deal that helps you maybe turn your benefits into something bigger. We did the survey, we called it Scambush, which was, those surprise attacks by scammers and fraudsters. And we really found that veterans are more likely to receive 10 or more robocalls in a week than a civilian, which is pretty phenomenal. And we all know our phones are blowing up all the time with robocalls and texts. And that really just tells folks to stay alert and be really careful when you answer your phone. We also found that 67% of military and veterans receive scam solicitations. And again, that's higher than a civilian. And those can look like a tech support scam or some of those, an offer to fix something, but just some of those things asking for your business that we really need to have our antennas up and be good consumers when we get one of those unsolicited offers of help. And then finally, we found that over a third of folks actually lost money to something. And that's anything from the grandparent scam that we've talked about in the past on this show, the IRS imposter. It could be something where someone offers to help fix your credit through a service. And so veterans and active military lost more money than civilians. And so our message here is really everybody needs to stay alert. But if you're a veteran or active military, you need to stay on extra alert because the fraudsters and scams have figured out ways to really target you especially. It's appalling, and we want to make sure people have the tools so that they don't get caught in one of these scams.
That's the appropriate word, appalling, because it absolutely is. Okay, Amy, many people right now, they're ordering Christmas gifts to get in front of the supply chain issues that we're facing. So this is a really timely conversation. What should our audience do if they think that they are the target of an online shopping scam?
Yeah, that's a really great question because on the helpline, we hear from hundreds of people every day who have been victims of scams or have been targets. So really reach out and get the help that you need. If you're not sure where to go, call us on the helpline. We're here for you. You can run the scenario of what's happening, where you think you might be scammed, and we'll help you through it. A lot of people are out there, like you said, Christina, they're online, they're doing shopping, and they're just kind of under this pressure. So they might not be thinking kind of full cognitive. They're thinking emotionally. They're so excited to get this present for their loved one. So stop, take a breath, do your research, and call us. We will help you through it.
And that's what we want to hear about tonight. What kind of pressures are you up against this holiday season? Have you been the victim of maybe a phishing scam in your email box? We're going to pause for a quick break, but when we come back, it's your turn to join the conversation tonight. I'm going to give you this number. You might want to grab a pen, 877-283-7570. Have you been able to spot a scam lately? If so, let us know how you were targeted, or maybe you have a story to share that we can all learn from. Let us know. Again, that number is 877-283-7570. And you might just be a winner tonight. We have 5 Yeti coolers to give away to lucky on-air callers. Join our conversation. More Rural America Live with AARP right after this.
Holiday scams often center around shopping, especially online shopping. Here are 2 ways fraudsters will target you during the holiday season. The delivery scam. As holiday packages crisscross the country, scammers send out phishing emails disguised as coming from UPS, FedEx, or the U.S. Postal Service saying you have a package on the way or you've missed a delivery. Beware of the links in these emails. They may lead to phony sign-in pages asking for personal information. The charity scam. Charity scammers are especially active during the holidays, but with a little research and a few precautions, you can make sure your donation goes to organizations that genuinely serve others. Enter the organization's name into one of these sites to see if they're legitimate before you give any money. For more tips on how to avoid scams, go to aarp.org/FraudWatchNetwork.
Welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. Be cautious where you click as you shop for your loved ones this holiday season. Tonight, we're discussing how to keep scammers out of your pocketbook and how to put them on the naughty list. Joining us once again is Regional Director Sarah Jennings, and fraud expert Amy Nofziger is with us tonight as well. And you at home are such a big part of this conversation. We want to hear from you. We have 5 Yeti coolers to give away. If you are caller number 2, number 4, 6, 8, or 10 tonight, you will be a winner. So pick up the phone and give us a call now, 877-283-7570. We are going to go to the phones in just a few moments. But before we take calls, Sarah, let's talk about some of the key tips that the FBI has highlighted this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about if you're buying or selling, especially online, there's 4 things we want you to keep in mind. The first one is to practice good cybersecurity hygiene. We've talked a lot about hygiene those last 2 years, and so we want you to think about that when you're online as well. And what do I mean by that? It just means don't click on suspicious links. If you get an email from someone you don't know, don't click on an attachment. Just be really careful where you're clicking and what you're looking at online. The second tip is know who you're buying or selling from. And that's it sounds a little basic, but with so many offers coming your way on the internet or through one of a social media site, you really need to do your homework and know who you're buying from or who you're selling to. And you can do some good research on those different places that you might be considering doing business with. Amy, do you have a couple more tips that we can share?
Of course I do. So, it doesn't matter what scam it is. One of the things to know is how the scammers want you to be paid or how they want to be paid. So, never pay with a prepaid gift card. Gift cards are for gifts, not for payment to people online. Also, never wire money to anyone. Or if they ask for crypto, that's a huge red flag as well. And then also, when you're buying these presents, keep track of your shipping. There's a lot of shipping scams out there. So keep track of your shipping. Keep a list of who the shipper is, where you bought it from, when the expected delivery date is. And I'm sure some of you out there have actually probably got one of these texts that says they tried to deliver you a package or something like that. So if you have, I'd love to hear from you because these are really popular scams right now during the holiday season.
All right, and with that, let's hear from the audience tonight. First up is Chris of Texas. Thanks for joining us, Chris. Go right ahead. Chris, okay, we're going to go to Joyce in Arkansas.
Yes, Chris.
Oh, we got Chris. Hey, Chris.
Yeah, so if someone has ever feel like they've been scammed or they feel like there's maybe something suspicious and they notice something on their accounts, who do you recommend that we reach out to? Is it your local law enforcement, your local sheriff's department, PD, or is there some kind of fraud prevention protection out there that we should reach out to?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. And, it really all depends on the scam, but it's who you're most comfortable with. So if you're most comfortable reaching out to your local law enforcement, please start with them. If you're not sure, you can always call us on the Fraud Watch Network helpline. We can listen to what you think happened, listen to the story, and then we can help direct you to the right spot. I know the number is running at the bottom of the screen, but it's 877-908-3360, and we have trained fraud specialists all over the country to work one-on-one with people who think they've either been a victim or a target of a scam.
All right.
And Amy, anybody can call that number, right? You don't have to be an AARP member. We would love for you to be an AARP member, but you don't have to be an AARP member to take advantage of the service, right?
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to be a member and you don't have to be over the age of 50. I mean, just today I talked to a 19-year-old, right? We just want to help anybody because fraud hits, all ages. It doesn't matter where you live or who you are, fraud can happen to you. So call us for help.
All right. Thank you so much for that call, Chris from Texas. We appreciate it. Our next caller is a winner tonight. The winner of a brand new Yeti cooler. Henry joins the conversation. Go right ahead, Henry.
I was wondering about the gift card versus a credit card and paying online. Is that one better than the other one?
Gift card or debit card?
Both. I'm just trying to, decide which one to use. Both of them.
Okay, yeah, great question, Henry. Thanks for that. Um, you know, anytime you're shopping online, it is much safer to use a credit card than a debit card. Now, I heard gift card, and so if you're using a branded gift card at that store online to purchase an item that you want, then that is reasonably safe, right? But if let's say you're buying a Christmas present for somebody or a holiday present for someone, always use a credit card. It is much safer and you have better protections. And the reason is because if someone steals your debit card, they're actually stealing your money and they're pulling it out of your account. And even though you might get it back, it might take up to even 4 weeks sometimes for the bank to investigate that. Then you're out that money, right? But with a credit card, you're not out that money while the credit card investigates that. So it's much safer to use a credit card online. And actually, for me, I use it all the time. I use it in the store. I use it at the gas stations. I always use a credit card.
All right. Thank you for that. We appreciate hearing from you. Henry from Alabama. Next up is Joyce of Arkansas. Thanks for joining us, Joyce. Joyce, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi there. Do you have a question for us tonight?
I wanted to comment on some of the scams that we've encountered. We're senior citizens, and I think that they just target,
Sarah, you know
I think
all
Joyce
about
is
this.
breaking up. Yeah, Joyce is breaking up a little bit for me. I don't know, but I think she was trying to, help make the point that seniors often are targeted, and she's absolutely right. And, there's a lot of different reasons for that, but I think, one of our messages throughout tonight is just that everyone needs to be alert, but there are populations that need to be even extra alert. And we talked earlier about veterans and active military, but all seniors also. And, different scams like the grandparent scam, which is something we've talked about before, is something that definitely preys on older individuals. But there's a lot of other ones. And some of it is because sometimes older folks are at home more. So there's more, it's easier to get a hold of you, that you can, sometimes online and things like that. There may be somebody who hasn't done as much online shopping. And so it's easier to trip you up a little bit. So I think all of the tips we're talking about tonight are relevant to everybody. But again, I think making sure that seniors, veterans, active military are on extra alert is always a good idea. And Amy may know more too on some of the specific scams that she's hearing from that seniors, tend to be targeted with more often than others.
Well, it is a fact that older adults hold the majority of wealth in the United States, right? They've worked hard their whole life. And same with veterans. Oftentimes they, have military benefits and the scammers go where the money is, right? And so that's why they do target older adults more often. But you're exactly right, Sarah. Scammers don't care. They'll take anybody's money that's out there. So all of these tips, apply to everybody. But also, you have to think about your stages in your life. Like if you are a grandparent, you're going to be targeted for the grandparent scam, like you said. If you're unemployed, you're going to be targeted for an unemployment scam, right? And so you have to kind of think of those stages in your life, especially if you've recently become a widow or widower. That doesn't matter what age you are, but we know the scammers will troll obituaries and they will look for people who are vulnerable. So I'm sorry that that's happening to you and that you're being targeted, but please reach out to us anytime you need any assistance or guidance.
We really appreciate that, especially because those who are in the vulnerable group as well, they may not be as willing to go out and go shopping in stores just yet. And so a lot of people will be shopping online, which is why we're so grateful to have both of you on tonight, spreading this really important message. Joan from Minnesota is our next caller, also a winner. Thanks for joining us, Joan. We sure appreciate it. Go right ahead.
Hi, my husband purchased a toolbox online. He found that it was offered by several different companies at the same great price, which was about half of what it was for sale for from reputable businesses. and he ended up not getting the toolbox. We found out in the end that it was supposed to come from China. What he did get in the end was a necklace, and he never did get the toolbox, and he was out of his money. So make sure that it doesn't matter where you're shopping from, make sure that you pay attention to the deal that you're not getting.
Yeah, absolutely, Joan. I'm so sorry, but thanks for sharing your story because you're going to help a lot of people. This is something that we see on the helpline a lot, especially this time of year when people are doing online shopping for holiday presents and gifts and stuff. So what we're finding out is people will go into searches like a Google search or a Bing search, and they'll type in, in your case, toolbox. I'm sure that you did more than just toolbox, and they'll come up to these websites and they'll find these great prices. And who doesn't want a great price, right? And so then purchase it, and then something does get shipped. Now, why they do that is because they really want to circumvent the tracking. They'll say, oh no, we sent you something. We have the tracking right here. It says it was delivered to you. So our best advice is when you're shopping with a new vendor online, one, look at the price. If you know it retails for $200 and they're offering it for $50, that's a red flag. Also, take the name of the company, put it in a new search, and then afterwards write the words scam, fraud, review, complaint, whatever, and see what other people are saying about that company. And always be skeptical when you're buying off of social media. We're hearing a lot of people are being victimized with buying things off of social media. Sarah, have you heard about these things like with social media and stuff with people buying, jewelry, clothes, whatever?
Well, and I have to admit, I've been tempted because social media, they kind of know to serve up stuff you're probably going to be interested in, or you searched on a different website, and it's always a good deal. So I have heard of that. I've seen a lot of the ads, and I've also, one thing that I've taken to doing when I see those products show up in mine is I read the comments. And then also, as Amy was suggesting, I always go and do some research online too to figure out if it's legit, because of course not every ad that gets served up to you is a fraud, but a lot of them are, and that is a place to be really be extra careful, as we're saying all night long on the internet. And I do think that the pandemic forced us all to get more comfortable with online shopping in a lot of ways. And so that's a benefit because it's more convenient and you can maybe find something that you don't have locally, although shopping locally is always more fun when we can do it safely. Our message here is there are ways to shop safely online. You just have to really be a smart shopper and be very, very careful and do your homework.
Yeah, you're right as well. More people are shopping online. I mean, it was exponentially larger last year, and then this year is supposed to be 10% higher than last year. And so the fraudsters are going to go where the money is. Next up is Kathy of Nebraska. Thanks for joining us tonight. Kathy, go right ahead.
My question is, how safe is it to use a credit card with my iPhone? I don't have a computer. I just use my phone.
Yeah, that's a great question, Kathy. Yeah. And I want everyone to remember that your smartphone is basically a computer, right? So even though we make phone calls on it, it is a computer as well. So just know that. But it is safe. It's safe if you follow the precautions, right? Make sure that you have a passcode on your smartphone. Make sure that you're on, secured Wi-Fi, that you're not using a public free Wi-Fi, right? Because any of that personal information that you transmit through there can be snatched up by a cyber criminal. Make sure that you have all your safety features on your phone. I know I shop on my phone, right? And I feel very safe and secure. But just make sure you follow all those safety protocols when you're doing it. The biggest one, as I said, is definitely make sure that you're on a secured Wi-Fi, right? Do not just walk into a coffee shop and get free Wi-Fi. Any of those hotels, the airport, we know that there are cyber criminals that just sit there and wait for people to enter their personal information on these unsecured websites. Sarah, do you shop on your phone?
I shop on my phone, but as you said, I never shop using any public Wi-Fi, and I'm usually really careful. I try to do it when I'm home and I know I'm on my secure Wi-Fi at home. I really am careful when I'm out and about because Yeah, I've just heard too many horror stories, and I know better because I work at AARP and we talk about this.
And this show, I mean, it's made me so much smarter. I'm sure our viewers at home as well. I just feel like I'm a lot more suspicious now, and that's really what it takes. You have to be able to spot these scammers. Maybe you at home, maybe you've been the victim of somebody who's been trying to take your hard-earned money, maybe through an online phishing scam that comes into your mailbox. Or maybe you have a story that might surprise us tonight. We want to hear from you. 877-283-7570 is the number to call. It seems like they have been outrageous in the way they scam people, even with some of these puppy scams, Amy. I mean, tell us more about that, how that's going this holiday season, in fact.
Well, the puppy scams have actually been on the rise since the beginning of the pandemic because people were like, oh, I'm going to be home. I can train this dog. It can keep me company, things like that. So, but during the holiday season, everyone has these, visions of having a little puppy in a stocking or, just a bow on it. And so we are hearing a lot more about those. And let's just say it's not just puppies. There's cats, there's squirrels, there's monkeys, there's all these kind of pet scams out there, but puppies are certainly the most popular. So again, what happens is people see an ad on social media or they do a Google search for, poodle puppies. They interact with a fake website. The criminal says, oh, yeah, we have puppies for you, beautiful puppies on the website. Which one do you want? Of course, that puppy's available. Then they ask for payment. And that's, again, the thing to look out for, that red flag. Do they want it in a peer-to-peer app? Common names, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle. Do they want you to pay cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, right? Or do they want you to pay with a prepaid gift card? If you hear any of those three forms of payment, stop. It is a scam and check it out, right? Find a local breeder that you can have a reference to, or even there are so many dogs that need homes in our shelters that need to be adopted. So start there as well. And we know that you will keep your money if you go there.
I love it. Okay, Laverne of Colorado is our next caller, and she is also a winner tonight. Congratulations, Laverne. Yay. Go right ahead.
I have a comment. I was called and said that my electricity would be turned off in 30 minutes if the bill wasn't immediately paid. And so I said, well, can you take a credit card? Just due to the circumstances that I had. And they said yes. And so I gave them a credit card, and they said, oh, that credit card didn't work. Do you have another one? And I said, yes, I do have another credit card. I gave them the other credit card, and they said, well, do you have another credit card? And I said, no, I don't. Oh, okay, that one worked. Yeah, okay, I'll take care of that. And so I did some calling around for to other people, and then I realized that had been a scam. And so I called the credit card, and fortunately, they hadn't been accessed. They had been put on, I don't understand it, somehow online where you can take your credit card in, your phone in, and say, here is my credit card number. And it had been put on there, but nothing had been accessed. And so I just want to let people know that that scam is going around, and so that's my main thing that I wanted you to know that.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Laverne. And from one Colorado girl to another, I appreciate you being a fraud fighter out there in the community. And you're exactly right. Like, this is a very popular scam. We see this when there's like, the climate with the weather. So when it's really cold and people really need their heat, we see, their heat. And then when it's really hot and they need their air conditioning. So you'll get a phone call, they'll put you under the ether, they'll say, oh my gosh, your heat's gonna be turned off, your AC is gonna be turned off, we need money. These people ask for a credit card. Usually they ask for a prepaid gift card. So that, again, listen for that red flag. And also, your electric company does not operate that way. They will send you bills. They will say past due. They will work with you. They do not want to shut it off. So this is a scam. It's a very popular scam that's out there right now. So if you ever get this phone call and you think, well, maybe it actually is, hang up the phone, find the legitimate phone number for your utility company, whether it's on a bill or in the phone book, call them up, and I guarantee you that they'll tell you that your bill is paid up and that you're good to go. I mean, Sarah, have you heard about these in South Dakota?
Oh yeah, they happen all the time. And it is, as you say, Amy, it's sort of, you can substitute almost any service or utility, whether it's your gas, whether it's your heat, maybe it's your IRS. We've heard about this with taxes a lot, almost every year that becomes a thing too. So I think as Amy was talking about, a big tip is that if someone's calling you proactively and then asking you for the payment immediately over the phone, telling you there's some urgency, those are all red flags. The urgency is something we talk about a lot. It gets you sort of anxious and you sort of doubt yourself. And of course, you want to make sure you have power or your gas turned on or that you paid the IRS in a timely fashion. And so they kind of get you into the state where they know that you're not going to make the smartest decisions. So it's always to, as Amy has said, really trust yourself to be able to take a deep breath, hang up the phone, call the utility, call the IRS, call your gas company, whoever it is who they are claiming you are in arrears with, and do the research. And more often than not, again, it was a scam. But I think all of us I've definitely gotten those phishing scams, and it makes my heart race a little bit. And I'm like, oh my goodness, in the busyness of life, did I forget something? But I always try to make sure I, take a beat, research it, and I'm usually just fine.
And the holidays are so hectic on top of our everyday life as well.
Yes.
Thank you for that call, and congratulations again to you, Laverne of Colorado. Cheryl of Nebraska joins the conversation now. Go right ahead, Cheryl.
Hi. Is there an easy way to tell if you're being scammed through email when the email that you're receiving, the address looks just like either like a mortgage company, which I had happen to me, or either someplace where you're ordering from? Is there a red flag that you can? Because I really had to call my mortgage company to be able to figure out if that email I got was from them or not.
Yeah, well, I'm just so happy that you're being so skeptical about it and looking into it, Cheryl. I mean, that's fantastic. So there's a couple of things that I tell people to do when they're looking at emails. Look at the return email address. So if you're expecting an email from, let's just say, AARP, right? It should be at aarp.org, not apra.org, but sometimes we look at things so quickly and our eyes can play tricks on us. So just really look at that email. Amazon, there are so many imposters out there using Amazon and eBay right now. And we saw one the other day that it was, at amazon.com, but Amazon was an EN, not an ON, right? But again, you just look at it and you think, oh, that's them. So you did the right thing by calling and verifying it. Also, look how they greet you. Do they say, dear sir or madam? Or do they say, dear Cheryl with your name? Do they have any of that account information on that email? Does the email match up to the address that spelling, grammar, all of that kind of stuff. But bottom line, if you have any inkling that it might be a scam or a fraud, do exactly what you did. Call the company and verify it.
All right. Thank you for that call, Cheryl. That leaves a line open for you to join our conversation tonight. And we still have Yeti coolers to give away. The number is 877-283-7570. Our next caller is a winner. Faye from Kentucky joins us now. Thanks for joining us, Faye.
Yes. I made a visit to my optometrist, and then I received a letter from them saying that their account had been hacked into and gotten some of my information. What should I do?
Wow, great. So I'm glad you brought this up, because there's probably not one of us on the show tonight, listening to the show, watching the show, that hasn't been part of a breach, right? It's what happens right now with all of our personal information out in the world, there are criminals who are hacking into these systems to try to steal our personal information. So I'm sure in the letter from your optometrist, it gave you some options that they maybe would provide some free credit monitoring service for you and some instructions. But it's good to check it out and see what they're offering, because they might even offer it to you for free. But first and foremost, you're going to want to put a fraud alert on your credit report. And that is a pretty simple thing to do with one phone number. You can call us on the helpline and we will walk you through that. You're also going to want to get a copy of your credit report, and everyone is entitled to a free credit report. And I think they're actually still giving everybody one free credit report a week during the pandemic right now. So that's a great thing for people to go and get their credit reports to see if everything on there is correct. And again, just give us a call. We can help walk you through it. But just know, just because your information might have been compromised, might have been breached, it doesn't mean that you're a victim. It just means that you might be more at risk. But we should all really be following the steps anyways, even if we haven't been at risk, and checking our credit report and everything like that. I know I've gotten these letters in the mail from companies I've dealt with. Sarah, you've probably gotten them as well, right?
I have, and unfortunately, I sort of have come under I sort of practice as if my information is out there, and I just do all I can to protect it and make sure it isn't being used. Because as you say, and as that example gave, I mean, these breaches are all too often. I've had, a single account hacked into, or a credit card number that somebody's gotten because I used it at a gas station, or you can't quite figure it out. So I think the thing is, we just all have to be vigilant all the time, be proactive in how you're managing your information. That includes your passwords. That means checking your credit reports. And I know some of this is a pain. And so, before I got into better habits of all this, it was sort of like, do I really have time to do all of that in the busy, kind of as life gets busy? But the reality is, trying to clean up an identity theft situation is going to take a lot more time. So doing some kind of proactive, making sure you're changing passwords, you're using good secure passwords, and that you're keeping an eye on your credit score, your credit reports are a few things that you can do to make sure that you don't, that your information isn't actually being used, and that you don't lose a lot of money that way.
All great tips. Okay, we're going to go back to the phones. Amy from Kentucky joins us now. Go right ahead, Amy.
Yes, if someone has enough information about you that they create an email and password and create an account in your name, who do you report that to? Say it's an unemployment claim or something of that nature. Who do you report that to aside from the Attorney General?
Yeah, Amy, so I hear you say unemployment claim. Let's just say that has happened to millions of people during the pandemic. We have a lot of unemployment claims being filed in people's names. So if that is what you're referring to, you're going to want to call the Department of Labor, or whoever in the state that the claim was made handles unemployment claims, and file a fraud complaint. You can go to the Department of Labor's website, and they'll have all the state contact information. And again, you can always call us and we can get you that information as well. Attorney General's office, that is a great recommendation. You can even file a local law enforcement, police report, mostly if you've lost money in this case, but most of the unemployment cases can be handled pretty quickly and pretty easily. And I will just say, a lot of people who have been victimized by this scam don't even know that they've been victimized until they get the tax form, right? So just if you get a tax form from the government saying that you got unemployment and you're just like, what? I didn't file for unemployment. That's when you need to start reporting it and start taking the appropriate actions to make sure that they know that you didn't file that on your behalf, that somebody else, a criminal, did on your behalf.
All right, that leaves a line open for you tonight. 877-283-7570 is the number to call. And I did want to ask you, I was reading in the paper about another type of scam, these fake websites that people are creating, oftentimes for high interest items, the items that people know are going to be hot this holiday season. Amy, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very similar to the toolbox example that we heard earlier. So let's say I'm interested in getting like a new Xbox or something, right? Like you heard me stumble because I don't even really know what that is, but that is a hot ticket item out there. So I go into a Google search and I type in just Xbox, right? And the websites come up. criminals can place fake websites pretending to sell these Xboxes. You think it's legitimate. They have it in stock, of course, where the main retailers don't. You purchase it usually with a peer-to-peer, a prepaid gift card, or even crypto. And then, of course, you never get this Xbox. So again, go back to the advice we said earlier. If you are doing searches for these items, take the name of the company or the name of the website, put it in another search engine, and type the words scam, fraud, review, complaint after it, and see other people's experiences with this company. We've had a lot of people be victims of these scams, especially with like tennis shoes, like the Air Jordans and the Nikes, the electronic, high fashion goods, things like that. So just make sure to do your research.
All right, 877-283-7570. We are going to pause for a quick break, but we still have time for your phone call tonight, and you might just be the winner of a Yeti cooler. I'm going to give you that number again, 877-283-7570. Have you been offered a deal that you just knew was too good to be true and you found out later it was a scam? We want to hear from you. Or maybe you're still getting robocalls. Many of us are. Join our conversation tonight, 877-283-7570. We'll be right back with more Rural America Live with AARP after this.
Hi, I'm Joe Bonzel with the Oak Ridge Boys. Got a minute to talk about military record scams? Access to copies of your military records or discharge papers is free. If you need these documents or other government forms, don't be pressured into paying for them. There are unscrupulous companies and individuals who know that veterans who are transitioning back to civilian life will need copies of their records to access certain benefits. These scammers will offer to help retrieve the records easily and quickly for a fee. There is no charge for copies of a veteran's medical records, discharge paperwork, and other forms. If you need these documents, go to va.gov/records and request them. They will let you know when your records are ready to download and print, or you can request that they be mailed. Veterans who encounter companies or individuals charging fees for military paperwork are encouraged to report them to their state's Veterans Affairs Agency. If you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. For help from AARP, call 877-908-3360 or visit the AARP Fraud Watch Network at aarp.org/Fraud Watch Network.
What a talent, that Joe Bonzel, along with the rest of the Oak Ridge Boys. Welcome back. Tonight we're talking about holiday scams, the gift that keeps on taking. And we still have time for your call. We have Yeti Cooler to give away, so we're going to go straight to the phones. But let me give you that number first. 877-283-7570. Join our conversation tonight. Arlene from Ohio is a winner. Congratulations, Arlene. Go right ahead.
I have gotten calls from, I don't know where they're from, but there were a whole bunch of calls. They started yesterday at noon, and they called every 20 minutes to a half hour, and then they started calling closer and closer. And they ended up with about the sixth call was 15 minutes apart. The next one was 10 minutes. And they were coming 5 minutes apart. And they were from all over the United States. And they said that they were Amazon and that I had an account that was due that was $4,199. And that it was questionable that I should call them. And then they said that they would wait for my call. And all at once, I didn't answer any of them, and they quit calling then. And I called the sheriff's department and asked them about it, and they said that that's what they were doing. And as soon as you lifted the receiver, they knew that you were there, and they would just keep hounding you until they got very far. So what else can I do?
Yeah, I just have to say, I mean, yay, right, that you did not pick up the phone. I mean, that is fantastic. That is one of my number one pieces of advice. Do not pick up the phone unless you know who's calling. And this Amazon scam right now is so popular. We've had people lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in this scam. So what happens is they'll call you and they'll say, that your Amazon account was charged. They can help fix it. Eventually, they remote access into your computer or into your cell phone, get into your bank account. They do some, crazy stuff in your bank account where it looks like they're refunding the money when they're actually pulling it out, and then you've lost the money. So in this situation, you've done everything absolutely right. You might want to talk to your phone company and see if they have any technology that can help protect you from some of these robocalls. Remember, we still do pay for our phone lines. We are their customers. So I'd reach out to them and ask them what they can do for you. Maybe it's putting, unknown numbers on a block system, something like that. But best piece of advice, do not pick up the phone unless you absolutely know who's calling.
Great. We appreciate that. Congratulations, Arlene of Ohio. Next up is Terry. She's joining us from Missouri tonight. Thanks for joining us, Terry.
Yeah, how you doing?
He's joining us. My apologies. Go right ahead, Terry.
Hey, I was curious about if there's anything that you could done. We was out in Oregon and we got scammed on a car. To rent a car, $400. Was there anything that we could have done to try to find this person?
Yeah, so it all depends on how the scam happened. We have been hearing a lot about rental car scams. So, during the pandemic, a lot of rental car agencies sold off their fleet because people weren't using them. And then once we started traveling again, a lot of people weren't comfortable taking public transportation, so they wanted to rent cars. So rental cars were at a premium. So people were going online and, again, doing the searching of rental cars near me, finding fake websites. So I'm not sure if that's what happened in your situation, but they would find fake websites for car rental places, and the car rental place would say, of course we have a car, we'll even bring it to you. We just need a $500 prepaid, American Express gift card. So if that's the situation that happened to you, I would definitely report it to your local law enforcement. But I will say this, if you did pay by a prepaid gift card, the money's gone. That's why criminals love this form of payment. It's virtually untraceable, and they can download the money like that. And so you still have that plastic card in your hand too, which is the craziest thing. You just give the numbers off the back of the card. So if that is what happened, I still think you should report it to your local law enforcement and give them all of the information. You can also report it to IC3.gov. That is the Internet Crime Complaint Center that the FBI manages, and you can put your complaint in there as well. Hopeful that we'll catch these guys someday, but just know that they're out there. We got to keep ourselves safe, but you still should report.
And hey, Amy, if they paid by credit card, would they be able to report that to their credit card company and potentially get the money back? Or is this one of those situations where they're probably out of luck?
Yeah, if you paid by credit card, absolutely call your credit card company or even your debit card. Call your bank and contest those charges. But most of these kind of rental car scams that are happening right now are via prepaid gift card. But absolutely, Sarah, you're spot on. Call your credit card company if that is how you paid.
All right. Thank you for that call, Terry. We appreciate it. Dorothy from South Carolina joins us now. Go right ahead, Dorothy.
Hello. Thank you. Some years ago, I ordered from a company that I had been doing business from a long time, and they had gone out of business, and I didn't know it, and criminals had taken over their name or were using their name. When I found out about it, I talked with the authorities, and this was on the other side of the country, and the authorities told me to always be sure that there is a physical address, to check into the company and see if there's a physical address. Does that advice still apply today?
I think it's good advice, but there are, with the advancement of technology, there are banks that are only online. There are, mortgages that are only online that don't have the brick and mortar that we're used to. So I do think that that's a good piece of advice, to check the address, and see if there is a physical location. But more importantly to me is to check if there's someone there, whether it's at a physical address or over the phone, that if you have a problem, will respond quickly and efficiently to your issue. So it's hard to tell, because, even during the pandemic, we've all kind of learned that we can do a lot of things outside of a brick and mortar. I mean, Sarah, what are your thoughts?
No, I was thinking the same thing you were, Amy, that I feel like anymore, the research we have to do, we should check into the whether there's a physical address, but the reality is scammers make stuff up all the time. So you really have to double check that. So I think it really is for all of these businesses. You almost need to double, triple verify them in different ways. And I think the tip that Amy's been saying about putting the company and scam or fraud into a different search engine just to see what comes up is brilliant and pretty easy to do. But there's also, I think, the other tips about, actually picking up the phone and trying to call the customer service number and seeing if anyone answers. You still, on that case, though, have to be very careful, because it could be a call center, that's being staffed by scammers trying to get your credit card numbers or a prepaid gift card or something like that, too. So it's just, we just have to be alert. But I think that advice about trying to find the brick and mortar is good, like Amy said, but I think we have to do even more when we're researching these companies that you don't know.
Wow, it is so nice to be on with two smart women who know their stuff so well. And you really have to be up to par with what's happening with technology to answer these questions. So thank you both so much for joining us tonight. Before we go, I wanted to give you an opportunity to share your final thoughts with us. Amy, let's start with you.
My final thoughts are always going to be the same, right? It doesn't matter what scam you're being targeted with. Listen for those red flags. If they say prepaid gift card, it's a scam. If they say Bitcoin or crypto and that's how they want to be paid, it's a huge red flag and most likely a scam. They say they want you to wire money, right? That's a huge scam. And if they treat you with urgency and they're rude to you and they yell at you, 100% a scam. Hang up the phone, delete the email, close the door. And then finally, always call us. We are here to help you and walk alongside of you with all of these fraud scams.
I love it. And that number for the Fraud Watch Network helpline is 877-908-3360. Sarah, what are your final thoughts for us this evening?
Well, some of the same. I think the big thing is I do want to make sure everyone knows that our helpline, with Amy at the head of it, is there to help folks all over the country. Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter if you're an AARP member. Again, we'd love to have you as an AARP member, but we really want to help everyone because we know everyone is being targeted right now. So just stay alert, get great gifts for your family and friends, but just be careful while you're doing it if you're shopping online. And have a wonderful Thanksgiving. That's a way to end, right? I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving next week.
I know I am certainly thankful that I get both of you back in studio. Next time we meet again, we'll be in person. So yeah, we're really looking forward to that. That about does it for tonight. This is our last show of the year with AARP. But like I said, they'll be back in the flesh in studio with a whole new season and more great giveaways for you as we move into 2022. I want to make sure I give you all that information one more time so you have it. If you'd like to find out more online, you can go to aarp.org/AARP Live. The number for the Fraud Watch helpline, where you can report a scam as well, is 877-908-3360. Wishing you a beautifully blessed evening from rural America's most important network.